Track Stars Track Stars Racing Series, where we come to Dragon Trail for the Croatian Grand Prix. Mazda's the first one, leading us on a lap here as he's going to start his flying lap, and we'll run on board with the Kiwi driver. A lot of people will be setting their tyres. As you can see, Spud pulling the bits on hards, confirming that he'll be starting this race on hards, but Mazda comes flying to the first corner, hits the second curb and pushes it out wide with a good exit there. Next corner up here should be just about flat out if you take it right. Braking just after the grass, bringing it, clipping the apex. Mazda misses the apex a little bit there, makes up for it with his power. 27.2 through the first sector. Alright, first sector from SDRT Mazda. So he comes flying flat out through the S section. S section can be amazing when you get it right, and can be the difference between a good lap and a great lap. As he comes down, brake it just after the 100-meter board, clip the apex again, misses it a little bit, not what he's going to want, but then gets on the power nice and early, and he's going to run this entire chicane flat out through the first one, and then flat out again through the second one. Not a single lift from the Kiwi, and he will come up to the final corner now. It's been a good lap so far from Mazda, 51.6 through the second sector. Under brakes through the final corner, he'll power out, and for the first lap so far this session, SDRT Mazda crosses the line, does a 19 flat to start us off for quali. Gaban's going to cross the line and instantly beat that with an 18.9. Coming for you, only doing a 19.7. Then you got Budsy, who does a 19.7, just barely ahead of coming for you. Dram, 4 tenths behind coming for you, only doing a 20.1. And Spud crossing the line, not doing anything for the time being. No lap time for him, but here comes Lunacy. He's been quick early so far this season, and he puts himself 5th place, 1.5 seconds or 1.2 seconds off of Gabans, who still holds the top spot for the time being. Duram still only half a second behind Lunacy. Highlander is in 8th now, 1.5 off Duram. He's going to want to close that gap in a lot. Hasn't had the best starts of the season, Highlander, but he's going to be looking to improve and up his ability throughout the rest of the season. We all know that Highland's a quick driver, and he can do so. Diswood has topped the timesheets throughout all of this. He's gone 4 tenths quicker than Gabans and done an 18.5. So a good lap from Diswood in the CP Motorsports car. So well done from him. Sorry, I'm gonna have to just. I'll be back in like 2 seconds. Apologies, but yeah, I'll be back in like 2 seconds. Alright, Spud's taken the top spot off of Diswood, just under a 10th quicker. He's on an 18.4. Good lap there from Spud. These guys are going to forever be improving. It's only a 10-minute qualifying session, so you've got to be quick with these laps, and you've got to be good with them. Lunacy's put himself up to 4th throughout all of this, and he's 0.003 off Gaban, so very, very close. Oh, and he runs wide. He runs wide there, clips the gravel, and he's going to drop down, and he'll still have enough time to get a lap in. Obviously, there's still 5 minutes left in the sessions. They're halfway through it now. He'll cool down for a lap, and then he'll go again. Mazda pushing towards the end of his lap now. He's currently sitting P5 after his first lap. His first lap still being his best of a 19 lap. But he's pushing through the chicane. He's got 2 tenths to find if he wants to pass Lunacy for P4. Out of the final corner though, Mazda doesn't look like it's been a good lap so far. Only a 59.3 as his second sector split. That's not what you're going to want around this track, but Mazda will come flying out the final corner now. He's going to cross the line, and he's going to do a 126.7. Yeah, not a good lap from Mazda. Not going to be an improvement, but Nightwalker in his It's Racing car, he showed how well he could perform in Formula 2 last season. He got the promotion to Track Stars Formula 1. And here he goes, showing why he's here. He's 1.1 seconds off the top time, but he's going to cross the line now. Look for improvement, and across the line, he does not improve, only does a 19.8. Loudy behind him, it does improve. He improves to a 19.5 and goes 0.006 off of Nightwalker, showing just how close this field can be at times. Budsy at the start of his lap, he's done 19.7 so far. but I'm sure he has a lot more time than that. He'll be looking to push himself towards those front runners and put himself amongst that front pack. Lurox not having the best time at the moment. He's only done a 19.9 so far and ran wide, which will make this lap impossible to improve on, so he's going to have to cool down and go for another one. There's still 3 minutes left in this session, so these guys still have time to improve. Duran currently sitting 11th. He knows he can do better than that. He did some beautiful driving last season, especially in the Touring Cars Championship, but he did show his toll every now and then in the Formula Track Stars series. Duran 50 currently 1.7 seconds off of the top time. He's going to look to improve as he will come up to the second sector split. He's going to want to be around about the low. He's going to want to be within the 51s. Low 51s, and that's exactly where he is. Duran on an absolute flight at the moment, doing a 51.3. He's showing why he's such a quick driver. Duran only done a 20.1 so far, but he's going to look to challenge those top runners of Spud, Diswood and Gavanza. If he can hold this lap right through the final corner, he'll power out. He'll come up to cross the line now, and Duran 50. He's done a good lap so far. He's kept it clean through the final sector, and he's going to do an 18.8. Good lap there from Duran 50. Puts himself P3 just ahead of the ISAS driver of Gabanz. And then just ahead of Lucy, so it's very, very close up front here, and you can see just how close the field is getting. Everyone is starting to close up to one another. Highlander looking for improvement now. He'll come across the line. He'll come up to. He's done a 20.6 so far. He will not improve. John looking to actually set a valid lap time. He's still yet to set one. Some people coming to the pit. Loudy's coming to the pits to chuck on a fresh set of tyres and maybe try again one more time in this session. Out of the final corner though comes John. He pushes wide, clips a little bit of grass there, but as he comes up to the line, it's going to be a decent lap hopefully from John, and it's only a 22.8 and still not a valid time from John to put him any better than 13th, or what will be 14th when Loudy leaves the pits. As you got Nightwalker having a half spin out of the last corner, and that will be his qualifying over, because there's only enough time for one more lap, but he's not going to get the run on that lap. So Nightwalker will be P9 at best, not where the It's Racing driver wants to be, but P9 is the best he will be. But of course all points come from the race, so we're looking to improve in the race. Budsy though flying through the chicane now. He's looking for improvement. 1.3 still off the top time. He's currently sitting P10, wanting to establish himself further into that top 10, put himself as a good driver, show himself up. Mash Spud's racing team, they've seen something in Budsy, so they've put him in the team, and he's trying to show his worth here as he'll come up to the line. Budsy's not going to improve. Only does a 27.2, but he's still got enough time for one more lap, and everyone's going to be starting their final laps soon. As John comes out of the final corner, can he finally put in a time worth something, a valid time, or will he be hit by the checkered flag? Will John cross the line in time to start another lap? He will, and he puts a lap in for P6. Good lap from the It's Racing driver as he puts himself into P6. And there's actually been further improvement from Diswood, which is actually missed. He's retaken pole position and he's done a 17.9. Great lap from the CP Motorsports driver, and he's 4/10ths clear of Spud. The checkered flag still yet to drop. I believe it should have dropped by now, but hasn't been a message so far. It's Racing crosses the line, doesn't improve, does an 18.7. Lunacy looking to put himself in a better position. He improved to third place at some point, but he's going to cross the line, and he's not going to improve. He's going to do a 19.1. Duran's got an 18.7 as his best. Speedy tyres not far behind him, doing an 18.8. It's very close between the top 7, or from about second down to 7th. Very, very close. Gabanz looking to put himself high. Improved to an 18.8 on his last lap, but he's going to want to go even higher than that. He's currently sitting 6th. Is Gabanz, and he's going to look to want to improve. He's done a 51.2 through the second sector, so it's been a good second sector split from the Ice Racing driver. And as he comes through the final corner, he's going to power out. He's going to need a good exit here from Gabanz. Will he get the exit that he wants? He'll cross the line now, and Gabanz is going to do a 1.18.7. He does improve, and that puts him P4, and that is qualifying done for Gabanz. That was his final lap. I do believe the checker flag has dropped Mazda crosses the line. He goes P3. He takes that off Gaban's with a 1:18.7. Good lap from Mazda. Everyone finishing their laps now. Nightwalker, he probably won't be an improvement from the It's Racing driver because he didn't get the exit that he would have wanted going onto the lap to start the lap. As we saw, he had the half spin out of this final corner here, pushing too hard. And he comes up to the line now. Nightwalker, what sort of lap time is he going to do? Will it be an improvement? No, it's all 37.2. Qualifying done from Nightwalker, and that only one person pushing on a lap still, and it is Lurox. We've seen him do absolute bits in the Formula Track Stars series, and he's going to look to do so again. Out of the final corner, he wasn't too bad through the final corner up to the line. Will we see improvement? Last person to clear the lap across the line comes Lurox, and he does improve, puts himself P5, and a good lap from him. So pole position, your pole sitter for today is in fact Diswood. One great lap from Diswood to put himself on the pole and absolutely clear the field as he cleared Spud by 0.4 of a second. Spud's going to be starting P2 with Lunacy, P3 Gaban's, or I believe Mazda P4. They will fill it out once they all cross the line, then we can properly run through the grid. But a great qualifying session from them. So now that everyone's starting to filter out and get onto track, I think we just about can run through the field. We're just waiting on a couple more people to get on track and pass the first sector, and then they, of course, will get the race underway when they can. Of course, the F1 race, double the length of the F2 race. So this is a 38 lap race. Required tyres, I believe, are all three soft, medium and hards. They have all three available to them, and they will be asked to use, I have to check back through it, but it should be the soft, medium and hard, all three of them for this race. Anyway, as everyone was still waiting on a few to pass the first sector so we can properly get a look at what this grid is going to look like. Budsy still sitting in the pits, Speedy still sitting in the pits, and then we can properly get on the way once those guys get themselves on the track. But for the time being, it appears the grid is as follows. You got Diswood with an amazing lap of a 79, only driver to hit the 17s in this qualifying session, and he is a whopping 0.4 clear of N Spud in P2. Great lap for the Masquerades Racing driver. And then Lunacy, P3 in the Satellite Racing car, I believe that is. He's been a driver who's showed himself so far this season. He's just come in and he's done absolute bits so far in this league, and he puts himself P3 to start the second row for the Croatian GP. Mazda is P4. He finished off the second row. Caban starting the third row in P5 with Duran following him in P6. Speedy then in 7th with John starting in 8th. Nightwalker in 9th, then Nightwalker in 10th, Lurox then in 11th. Highlander not doing the lap he quite wanted to be is 12th, and then Budsy 13th. and coming for you 14th as it shows, but that will change once they do cross the line. Now we shouldn't be too far from race start. Everyone's picked their tyres they will want to be on. We'll go through their tyres actually before the race. So Diswood, our race leader Diswood, starting on the racing hard tyres, getting them out of the way early. Spud's done the same as him. He's going to be starting on the hards. So is Lunacy going to start on the hards. Mazda on the hards. Gabans is going to be opting for the soft, so he'll be one to watch off the start because he's going to have a lot more pace over those top 4 drivers. Duran behind him also on the hards, but then Speedy Tyres going for the softs. Softs for John as well, coming for you. He's on the hards. Loudy's gone with the hards. Nightwalker has gone with the soft tyres. And then the mediums, interestingly, for Lurox. Highlander has opted for the hard tyres. And then Budsy opting also for the hard tyres. So most of the field opting for either hard or soft tyres. Gabans is going to be the one who we really want to watch off the start because he's the highest soft tyre running car on the field. But other than that, a lot of them are on the hards. There's a few more soft tyre runners towards the back, as we see. Absolutely sending it in was, I believe, coming for you. Absolutely sending it in the back as everyone's doing donuts, waiting for the race to get underway. Great lap from Diswood to put himself on the pole with the 17.9. Of course, great driver Diswood, and he proves again why he is just so quick. Should be just minutes away from race start now, just waiting on Budsy, I think. Just have to await confirmation. There might have been something said in chat. I don't know. I think we'll survive. Alright, there we go. 1 minute till race is started. Diswood, of course, will have the pole ahead of Spud, and then Lunacy. Car to watch. Gabans is actually leaving the pits again. Has he switched tyres, or has he just gone on to another set of softs? He's got 1 minute to get past the first sector, so he should be fine. They've given the 1 minute warning, so if they do not go out onto track and pass the first sector, they will be putting themselves at a disadvantage. But we can now get a proper look at the field before the race. So again, great qualifying, great lap from Diswood, who puts himself ahead on pole, 4/10 clear of Spud, who finishes off the front row in P2. Lunacy in P4, Mazda P5, Mazda P4, Gabans P5, and then Duran in other CP Motorsports car P6. Top 5 cars, all different teams, so it's great to see the difference in drivers. And then Speedy Tyres P7, he knows he can do better than that, and I'm sure he'll be looking to improve in the race. John just sitting on the grid ready for race start as race is being started. And we will watch for the lights as drivers get ready to get underway. If anyone jumps the start, they will be penalised slightly off the start. For lap 1 of 38, 5 red lights will come on now for round 1 of the Track Stars Formula 1 Racing Series. We are underway. Diswood not with as good start as Spud is kind of to the back, but Spud has got the jump on Diswood. He's on the inside. He's gotten past, already clear into turn 1, and on the outside is Gabans. What I say, watch for the soft tyre runner, and Gabans from P5 to P2 in just one corner. You can see. And into P1 goes Gabans. What a start from Gabans, choosing the soft tyres, clearly working out well from his. You can obviously see the difference in the soft to the hard compound, and Gabans in just a space of 3 corners puts himself from P5 P5 to P1. Great start from the ice racing driver. So, but Spud put himself up to P2, and Diswood has already dropped down to P3 off the start. So not the start that CP Motorsports driver wanted, but great start for Gabans to put himself in the lead, and he's already pulling that gap on the soft tyre. But that could come back to bite him later. Of course, the hard tyre, it might be slow now, but they will be quicker later in the race when they chuck on that softer compound of tyre. Woodsy now, Diswood all over the back of Spud, closing up as much as he can, as he wants to get back that second position, try to keep with Gabans as much as possible. Of course, Gabans is unable to use his overtake button because he is leading the Grand Prix. If you are leading, you cannot use that overtake button. It is not allowed, which can put him at a bit of a disadvantage. But of course, once he's overtaken later, he'll have a lot more than those who end up using a lot of their overtake. As here is Diswood on the back of Spud. I don't think he's going to close up enough. He's 3/10 back at the moment. He's not using any overtake to close up, and he's just willing to sit behind and Spud for the time being. Behind the rest of the field have really panned themselves out. A lot of issues with people being... A lot of issues off the start, with people losing it off the start and finding themselves in the wall. But Gabans already with a 2.6 second lead, so really using those soft tyres to his advantage and showing them how powerful the softs really are. Diswood has gotten ahead of Spud at some point. Spud using his overtake button, trying to come back at Diswood, but Diswood, after seeing qualifying, you can just tell just how much pace he has in that CP Motorsports car. It's clearly a good car. Speed Tyres, another one who's done well off the start to put himself P4 from P7. Good start from Speed Tyres, and Lunacy, another one who's had a poor start to go from P3 to P6 now. He was a fair few positions ahead of his teammate, but now he's a couple behind his teammate, and there is a good gap between those drivers. Duran still sitting P7 for the time being, doing well in the other CP Motorsports car, but that CP car does appear to be quite quick. There's definitely something in the back of that car that is allowing it to go so quickly. Look at Diswood, he's already pulled a 1.5 second gap, and look at Speed, he's already passed that Spud. Spud is really just struggling in this race. He cannot get up to grips with that Mash Spud's car. It's just not working for him at this point of the race. Speedy already pulled a second gap, and he's already pulling in Diswood. Speedy found himself some new pace in the satellite racing car, closing up to the likes of Diswood, setting a purple sector 1, which is quicker than Gaban's 19 flat on a set of softs, which is a really good time for Gabans in race pace. Of course, these guys are going to have to manage their fuel. They should have enough fuel to just get to the end, but if they overuse it, they may run a bit short, and you are not allowed to refuel in the Formula Track Stars series. If you do refuel, you will be penalised, but I don't think we'll see many of these drivers refuel. And Speedy's still purple. He must have chucked on the soft tyres or something, because he is absolutely flying. He must have the soft tyres on that car, and I do believe I did see the soft tyres on the Speedy's car, now that I think about it, and that would explain why he's gapping Spud so much. But Spud just struggling. These soft tyre runners just appear to be so much quicker, and then those on the hards, the softs just do not have so much more grip than what those hard tyres do. Spud still under attack from coming for you. 4/10 is the gap between the two drivers coming for you. Not sure if he's on softs or hards, but he could be on either, and he loses the back end a little bit there, but he catches it enough to stay on track. Good catch there from coming for you to make sure he didn't end up in a wall there. But he'll look to push back towards the end spot now, because now he's dropped outside that slipstream range. He wants to be in that slipstream range, as of course that's going to give him the advantage to close up and get past him. But you can see already he is closing back in that gap with no problem. But the team boss of Benjo cheering on Gabans, the boys in the chat cheering on Gabans, as he's leading 3.6 seconds ahead of Diswood and just increasing that gap. 19.4 last lap. Pace dropped off a little bit from Diswood. You can see Diswood really closing in there. 19.6. He's starting to find some pace here, Diswood, in those hards. He's not struggling on them as much as you would appear, as much as you think he would be, but Gaban's still 5 tenths quicker. Highlander is in this race. Highlander is P13 at the moment, 20 seconds behind Loudy, so not having the start he would have wanted in this race. A lot of these guys quite split up at the back. These guys though, Nightwalker and John, not so split up. The two It's Racing esports drivers working together to pull themselves back up to that field, pull themselves back towards the likes of Lurox, who's the car ahead. I believe Lurox is the only driver on the medium tyres, so he's the only one going for that medium tyre to start, doing the different strategy from the rest of them. Whether that will work out or not, we'll have to see further on into this race. But judging by the fact that no one else is going for it, you wouldn't think it would, as Gabans is being reeled in by Diswood at a rate of knots here. Those soft tyres dropping off quickly for the ice racing driver. He's going to have to take the required amount of laps before he can pit off of them. And what tyres he'll pit onto, we don't know. He does have to use both those medium and hard tyres still in this race. He's currently on those softs. The gap down to 2.6 and 1.5 seconds slower than from Gaban's. Not the lap he wanted there. He struggled on that lap. Only 20.6, whereas Diswood's done a 19.7, keeping his times nice and consistent within those high 19s. Speedy Tyres still trying to hunt down Gaban's. Gap down to 8 tenths of a second. Not quite within that slipstream range. He's still pushing to try and get in it, but Diswood just showing the incredible amount of pace he has in that CP Motorsports car and why he got that pole position. And Spud trying to hold on to the back of Coming For You now, trying to hold on to that slipstream, but it's just going up to 9 tenths now. There's a yellow flag ahead. Who is that? The yellow flag, and it's, I believe that is Speedy Tyres. Speedy Tyres has gone off, he's gone wide, and he's had a little half spin there. He's dropped down the P5 and he's continuing to drop. I believe he has damage, some sort of damage, and he does. He has engine damage, and his engine damage for Speedy Tyres. That may be a safety car, which could help out a few of these boys here, but that engine damage is Speedy Tyres loses the rear a bit there, and it is a safety car. The full course safety car has been called out 6 laps into this race as Speedy Tyres has picked himself up. Engine damage there, and you might see some of these boys come in, and here is Diswood in off of his hard tyres. Still got 64 litres of fuel. You're not allowed to refuel, so he'll just be chucking on a new set. Gabans is in. He's getting off of those softs. He had a bit of damage. Gabans has damaged his car somehow. Something has happened, and Diswood has gotten ahead of him. While we'll focus on Speed Tyres, something has happened to our race leader of Gabans. He's going to refuel. I don't believe he's refueling his car. Actually, yeah, no refuel. It's just the animation. But a lot of people go into the medium tyres now. The medium tyres being put on for Speedy Tyres. What tyres is John going to put on? Is he's going to come into the pits? I believe Speedy Tyres are putting on the mediums. Speedy Tyres actually, I'm staying corrected, Speedy Tyres put onto a set of softs. He was on the mediums. Xerox has put on the mediums. Lunacy has opted to stay out on his fresh set of hards, so he's put onto his hards at some point, and he's going to opt to stay, and he's just about going to come out behind John and not quite going to jump him before they catch the safety car line. But Coming For You opted to stay out, and he is our race leader. Coming For You is our race leader at the moment on hard, so he's pit at some point, and he's just gotten ahead of everyone. Absolutely everyone. The safety car has not helped out anyone behind at all in that situation, and Coming For You is now actually leading. So those people who pit a couple laps earlier seem to get quite an advantage out of it. The race leader before the safety car, Gabans, has dropped all the way down to P5 now, so not what Gabans would have wanted, but of course P5, it could be a lot worse for the ice racing driver. So he knows he can pull that up. He pulled a great gap in that first inning. He'll be looking to do it again. He's got Gabans, he's got Diswood ahead on P4, on hard tyres in P4. Fresh hards. He did start on the hards, Diswood, so he's gone back onto the hards. He is going to still have to pit another 2 times. But you look to the front. Coming For You has used no overtake so far, so if we go through the grid we can see what tyres everyone has opted for, because a lot of people did pit. So we've got the hard tyres opted there for Coming For You. He's picked the hard tyres, and Spud also taking the hards for Duram and Diswood, and Gaban's first driver to opt for the mediums instead of the hards in this race. So the hard tyres for Nightwalker, softs for speed tyres, so he's going to be very, very quick in this next stint, and he's going to be pushing it right towards these front boys. He'll be one to look out for. Then you got the medium tyres for Lurox. He started the race with the mediums. It doesn't appear like he's pitted, but his tyres are very fresh there, so he must have put onto another set of mediums for Lurox. Soft tyres for John, so he's going to be another one flying through the field. Lunacy P10 on hards. Mazda also on hards. Highland down to the pits for damage under safety car. Is really not having the start he would have wanted in P13, and he's actually been passed there by Loudy, and these guys have absolute bits to do now to catch the safety car. The safety car should be in within the next couple of laps. So we're waiting for confirmation of when this safety car will come in. It might stay out one more lap just to let those boys behind catch up, but the debris has been cleared off the track. Everything is okay. The car, Speedy's car, has been repaired, so these guys should be able to get back underway as soon as needed. We'll be awaiting the message to see how much longer they're going to go. See people the waving from Spud, trying to keep the tyres warm, because the last thing they want is cold tyres off the restart. You can see how well the CP Motorsport cars are going in P3 and P4. That is clearly a great car, and they've got two great drivers in Ram 50 and Diswood 1. See no waving necessary for Diswood. Not a lot of the guys behind are waving, and the safety car will go for another lap. And then we should hopefully see it in, as everybody has caught the field now. We'll just be awaiting the message on whether the safety car is in or not, and then we'll see how everyone goes under safety car restart. Coming for you, putting in his first few laps now as race leader. He'll be leading for his first green laps after the safety car restart, as we did get confirmation safety car is in this lap, so the safety car will go around, and at the end it will speed off, and these guys will slow down, and then they will get back under green flag racing again. So in a great start to the race for coming for you to put himself into P1 under pit stops. He's done the strategy perfectly. Now we're just going to manage to hold that position off the fast charging and Spud behind him. But coming for you doesn't have as much wear on his tyres, surprisingly. The lack of waving from him has helped him save those tyres compared to Spud, but that might hurt him in terms of tyre temp. He might struggle as they get underway for temperature in those tyres, but of course it means he won't have as much tyre wear as the likes of and Spud, as you can clearly see there on the MASH Spud's car. His tyres are a bit more worn than what coming for you's are. As they come through the chicane now, that safety car will just about get ready to pull right on away. As it does begin to pull away, you can see the safety car is pulling away. Coming for you is slowing down, and we are getting ready to get back under green flag racing again at Dragon Trail. Coming for you, really backing up the pack now. You can see everyone backing up, everyone getting ready, waiting for him to pull the gun. Spud sitting on the back of him, waiting for it. And has he gone? It does appear so. No, he hasn't. Not yet. He's baited, and now he's gone. He's full throttle. Coming for you is back underway, and then Spud behind him. He's using his overtake. He wants to get past ASAP as soon as possible, as soon as he possibly can. And here goes N Spud flying into turn 1. Now turn 2. Is he going to try anything into turn 2? Won't quite get anything. Diswood holds P3 and the Dram P4 as they all come flying through this first corner. And no chaos yet as of now. There's been a clean safety car restart from absolutely everyone, and coming for you, still leading ahead of Spud, but you can see Spud is all over the back of him. He's showing him how much more pace he has and what it does to keep those tyres under temp. Coming for You did not keep his tyres on the 10, but of course you can see through the S section, look at how much better Coming for You took that, and that means Spud's going to be right under attack from Diswood. Diswood will put his car on the inside under brakes. Diswood in the CP Motorsports car after losing 2 positions off the side, puts himself back up into P2 and now charging towards Coming for You in this race. So we look back, the speedy tyres, he had the soft and he's gotten damage again, not what speedy tyres would have wanted. He started on those soft tyres, he was looking good, but he got damage again, and it's gone from bad to worse for the Satellite Racing crew. Is there around who was that around? And I believe it was SDRT Mazda, it was, who spun his car around. Unfortunate chaos there at the back for a few of those drivers, but Coming for You now right under attack from Diswood. He's using his overtake, he's ready to get past into turn 1. He's going to go around the outside now, which will then turn to the inside for the next corner. Diswood on the inside, Coming for You on the outside. You hold on the inside for the next corner. Will Coming for You, he leaves the room on the outside, and they're still going side by side, but there's no way Diswood's going to be able to make a move happen around the outside here. Is he going to try it? No, he will not. So Coming for You holds position for now, but this is bringing Spud right into the battle. He can try and put himself back up into the P2 here if he can get the S section right. And you can see now Diswood using his overtake again. He's going to try it down the inside into the S section, but he thinks better of it and backs out, and you can see how much pace Spud loses to that S section. He doesn't quite have it down pat, but these guys are absolutely using all their overtake to get past Coming for You. He tries the inside again, but it's not going to work for Diswood. Coming for You parks it on the apex, and there's no way he's getting a move done through the chicane. You're gonna need a lot to get that done, and not even a last lap desperate overtake would anyone want to try and move through the chicane. And you can see just how close these boys are from the fighting. And here we'll go Diswood. He'll try it again. Will he be able to get anything into the last corner? He won't quite catch up in time, but as he comes through the final corner to go onto the straight to start lap 12, he's right up the back of Coming for You now. As you can see, there he goes around the outside. It's an easy move from Diswood. He puts himself into the lead, but Coming for You tucks right back into the slipstream. He might come back at him here. Come back at Diswood here. Diswood might have gotten the move done too early, and there goes Coming for You. Gives a look down the inside, but doesn't quite make it stick. And Spud dropping back from these drivers. Duran trying to make the same progress his teammate has, as Diswood retakes the lead after losing the 2 positions off the start. After 12 laps, he finally puts himself back into the lead of this race. Gaban's on his medium tyres, making his way back up through the field. You can see he's all over the back of John here. He might be able to try something into the S section if he can get close enough. He won't at this time. And he's you can see just how bad being behind a driver through that S section is. It really loses them a lot of time. As I looked away from the top for the second, and look how close they are. Here goes Spud down the inside of Coming for You. They get really close. They almost touch there, but they keep a good distance from each other. And Spud puts himself into P2. Coming for You dropping down another position. He actually has rear damage. This is really going to hurt him here as he comes through the second chicane, and you're going to have Duran all over the back of him now, and he's trying. He will have a lack of straight line speed, and you can see it on that car as Duran puts his car down the inside, gets the move done, and puts both CP Motorsports cars now onto the podium positions. Coming for You is going to pull into the pits, serve that damage, and there's smoke coming out of its racing car. That can never be good. Nightwalker though still pushing on, so it can't be too much of an issue. John looking to push towards Duran and take one of the CP Motorsports cars off of that podium, as Duran trying to do the same and actually turn it into a CP 1-2 as he's pushing towards Spud, but it doesn't look like he's pushed towards Spud is being as successful as John's push towards him, as John's on soft tyres. So that would explain the push John has done absolutely bits earlier in this second turn of the race after the safety car. He's put himself up to P4 from what I believe was P9 he was sitting in, as he loses it too much power, tries too hard to get past, and Spud gets himself front damage and left front suspension damage, and not what John would have wanted. He was having such a good restart, and he now drops down to PA, and the It's Racing driver is going to be absolutely gutted after that, but no point worrying about it now. He'll just focus on getting back underway, getting that damage fixed, and going on it again. Highlander, after being down in P13 on the safety car, has kept it clean, and he's put himself all the way up to P7. So well done from him. He's only 3 places behind his teammate of Gabans, who's put himself up into P4 after John's incident, and he's going to now look to push towards Duran 50. He's got the fresher tyres. He's got the softer compound of tyres. So what can he do against the CP Motorsports car? our early race leader. He was leading that whole early part of the race, but then he got damaged and the safety car, and it just didn't work out for him. He dropped far down, but he's gained up a few positions here on this safety car restart, and he's now P4 and pushing towards Duran. But it appears Duran's actually pulling on those hards, so those mediums not soaking in like a band would want them to. They're not quite getting in that groove that a band would like them to be in. But Loudy, as we flicked to Loudy, I was wondering why he was losing time. Loudy pushed it, and what we saw happen to John happens to Loudy, and no damage luckily for the for Loudy Dark Mist, but he will drop all the way down to P6, so unfortunate for Loudy, but could have been a lot worse for him. As here we go, we flick down here and we got a battle between Highlander and Speedy Tyres. Speedy Tyres coming out. Highlander will look down the inside, won't make anything happen this early, so we'll sit behind for now. Medium Tyre versus the fresher medium tyres of Highlander. Highlander should have the advantage here when holding off Speedy Tyres. There was something must have happened to Highlander to pit again onto a set of mediums, as Speedy is all over the back of Highlander already. He's gonna have the exit. He has the overtake to use. He's going to use it. Highlander doesn't go defensive, so Speedy Tyres puts his car down the inside and gets the move done up into P9 and will now push towards Lunacy. And Nightwalker comes to the pits. He's going to be looking to take off those hard tyres now. I'm chuck on a new set. He's done enough laps on those hards now to try something new, and you can see he's fixing the damage there. He had a bit of damage, so something happened to Nightwalker, which will put the likes of Highlander up to P9 and Speedy up into P8. If you look back up to the front, Dram really pulling that gap on Gabans, and then from there Dram closing up to the likes of N-Spud. He's slowly been pulling that gap in lap after lap after lap, and he might just about be within striking distance of N-Spud. N-Spud used a lot more overtake than what he has, and of course the overtake does not replenish, so when they use that overtake it is permanent. You can see he's still just about sitting outside of that slipstream range that he'll want to be in. He'll try to close it up through the final corner, because this is where you're going to really want that slipstream. He'll get the good exit, and he's actually not quite going to put himself within slipstream. I thought he might for a second there, but of course, man, we haven't been talking about much after the safety car. He's put a 6.3 second lap out in the lead, showing why he was the pole man and how he put that car on pole, but it's getting quite quiet throughout the rest of the field at the moment. But the two satellite racing drivers right on each other. It's probably the closest battle that we have, as Loudy pulls into the pits to fix some damage and take off those medium tyres. As we look back to Lunacy and Speed Tyres, there might be some team orders here. Lunacy might be told to let Speed Tyres through. Lunacy actually has damage as well, so is he going to let his teammate through? Not looking like it so far, which I don't think Speed Tyres will be very grateful for, because of course his teammate's got damage here and he's just holding him up. This time could be absolutely crucial by the end of this race, and there's engine damage for the likes of Lurox, and that is absolutely gutting, as Lurox has engine damage. He's going to pull into the pits. Will that be another full course safety car at Dragon Trail? And it will be, as you can see, the safety car driver of Venti SS Gaming pulls out of the pits. That is another full course safety car, and with that Gabans pulls Diswood pulls into the pits. He'll chuck on a new set of tyres, and he'll go out, and he's now done what he needs to on the hards, and he's chucking on the softs. And you can see there's Lurox there. He doesn't want to be lapped, but he's going to be lapped, which is unfortunate, not what he wants. Spud comes out in P2. He's also put on the softs. Coming for you, he stayed out on those medium tyres, and he's come out P3, so his top two drivers are really just going to run away in this race. Duram is going to be absolutely all over coming for you on this restart, as he's pitted and he's put on the mediums. Gabans though is pitted, he's put on the softs. Speedy Tyres is opting to stay out on those mediums, as well as Highlander also opting to stay on those mediums, and his mediums are actually fresher than Speedy Tyres ahead. John has, I believe, it looks like he's just recently pit onto a fresh set of hard tyres, so he won't pit again under the safety car. Nightwalker, P9, he's on the hard tyres. He put onto the hard tyres. Lunacy, pit to fix that damage, as well as put on a set of medium tyres. And then Lurox, a lap down, not the race he's wanted so far, sitting in P11, and it doesn't look, I don't think he'll be catching the safety car in this race. So there's going to be a lot required from Lurox in order to catch back up to that safety car queue and put himself back into this race. But of course, watch from the front now, as a lot has happened in this race. We've had 3 different race leaders from lap 1 to that first safety car period. We had the likes of Gabans leading. Then for a few laps we had Coming For You leading, and then since then it's been the likes of Diswood 1 leading. As I don't know if they're going to wait for the likes of Lurox to catch the safety car, or if they're just going to call the safety car in on this next lap. There was a lot of damage on Lurox's car, so it would have taken a while to clear up all that debris and all that damage. But of course the marshal's nice and quick around here, get it done quickly so we can get back under green flag racing and keep the entertainment going here around Dragon Trails. We're about to reach the halfway mark of this race. We're on lap 18. Halfway mark is of course lap 19, and Diswood, after taking pole position, is still holding on the lead. And there you go, confirmation, safety car will be in this lap. The marshals have done very well to clear the debris almost instantly from the track, and we'll get back under racing right at the halfway point. They'll stick on the back of the safety car, but then right after that second chicane, the safety car will pull off, and then they'll get ready to try and go back under green flags racing again. Diswood is not allowed to use his overtake, whereas Spud can. Spud can give it absolutely everything here to get past Diswood on this safety car restart, weaving to keep their tyres under temp. We saw how bad it ended for Coming For You when he didn't keep his tyres under temp. He's one who's really going to be under attack on this safety car restart, of course, with the medium tyres on, but the worn medium tyres on. A lot of these guys put on a fresh set, especially the driver right behind him on Duran 50, and then behind that is the ice racing driver of Gabans, who's on fresh softs. So it's going to be a rough restart for a few of these drivers who didn't off the pit. Same of Speedy Tyres and Highlander. We're going to have a rough time with this restart, but it might be a little bit hectic. But it's the safety car pulls away now, and Diswood slows down to let the safety car into the pits. We'll just about get ready to go back underway in the Croatian GP. So we'll wait for Diswood's pull away. You can see how steady he's holding there on the throttle. Out of the final corner now comes Diswood, and he plants it down instantly out of the final corner, and Diswood is going to win back under green flag racing. Spud, as you can see there, instantly on the overtake, trying to push towards him, and here comes Coming For You. Even though he's on worn tyres, he's giving it absolutely everything on those worn mediums, and it's going to be almost a 3-wide moment but there between the top 3 drivers. And there's Spud down the inside of Diswood, but Diswood holds position through P3. And then you got Coming For You, Coming For You in P3. Diswood has actually dropped down to P2 as Spud's taken the lead there at some point. I must have seen the wrong car come through turn 3, but Spud is actually up on the purple time as well. He's looking to take off that 19 flat from Gabans, of course. Not as they did quicker laps than that in quality. The pole position lap was a 17.9, and that was on more fuel than what they've got now. So we could see some crazy quick laps start coming from these soft tyre runners, because Diswood also running the softs as well as Spud, so he's not at any disadvantage to Spud or anything like that. But Coming For You holding well on those worn medium tyres. You would think that Duran would be closing in that gap a lot more, but he's really hasn't been closing it in as much as you would think in the early stages of this safety car restart. Then you can see a little pack starting to form here, the likes of Duran, Gabans and Speedy Tyres. Speedy on worn medium, so doing well to hold where he is. Then you got John on the back of Highlander, who's also on worn mediums. You could see a move happen there sometime soon, but Gabans on the back of Duram on his soft tyres, but let's more focus on the lead of the race here, as we got Diswood back into the lead and Spud P2 trying to come back at Diswood again. Of course, Diswood cannot use overtake, Spud can, so Spud can use absolutely everything he's got in his tank to come back at Diswood. Whether he will or not, whether he'll just let Diswood pull that gap, whether he thinks he has the pace to stick with Diswood regardless and just holding that slipstream, we'll have to see. But you can see he's already just falling out of slipstream range there, and it's going to be hard to get back in Diswood's slipstream. Once you're out of it, it's very difficult to get back within it, as Spud actually did set the fastest lap of the race as well within that, setting an 18.5, which was actually, I believe, quicker than his quali lap almost. So good lap there from Spud in the race. Coming for you though, coming under attack from Duram 50, as those worn medium tyres are really starting to prove their worth now. Coming for you though, has a lot more overtake at use than what Duram does. The Duram is actually using more to coming for you now. And then coming to the first or the second and third turn technically, but the first real braking turns there of turn 2 and 3, you can see that gap just close down every single corner between coming for you and Duram 50. It's down to 4/10 now, and it's going to continue to close. He's up on his personal best by a 1/10, so he's doing well here, is Duram 50. But you can see that's actually allowed Gabans to come under attack. I missed that and I wasn't looking, and Gabans has gone around the outside of Duram 50 to put himself up into P4. What a move from Gabans, and good job on those soft tyres. Now he's going to push right towards coming for you. As the race has eased down, these boys have let it come back up again, and you can see 4/10 is the margin, and Gabans is going to close that gap right down on his soft tyres. He's not going to try anything into this last corner, but look how close he's going to be, and look at the difference in grip as they come through the last corner. Look at that from Gabans. He's going to get the exit, and this should be an easy done move. Look at that, 2/10 is the gap as he comes flying down. He doesn't want to get it done too soon, because then all they are coming for you to come right back at him. But he sets an 18.9 on that lap and beats his own PB, which used to be the fastest lap of the races. Diswood has set a 17.6 as the fastest lap. What a lap from Diswood, but enough speaking of that, because here goes Gabans down the inside of coming for you. He's not quite going to get it done. He would have had to hold around the outside there, and too much gravel from Gabans, and he's ran wide, and he's lost the rear a bit there, and he's clipped the wall, and absolutely gutting for Gabans, and he's tried to rejoin there and almost hit the likes of John 27 TCT, but Gabans pushing too hard, trying to get the likes of Duram 50, clips the gravel a tiny bit, loses the rear, and goes off. And now he's got damage. He's going to need to come in and fix that, as John's actually got just one little piece of damage. Is coming for you, is also going off, and it's all going off at the moment. They cannot keep it on track, and he's only got front damage and front left suspension damage. So coming for you is also put himself into the wall at some point and gotten damage. As here goes Gabans, he's defending against Lunacy, as he's got damage, so it's got to make it difficult. Of course, he's coming through the chicane now, so he doesn't have to worry too much about a move happening here. But as they come out of the chicane, Lunacy's going to give it his all. He's going to activate the overtake. He's going to come out to Gabans. Gabans is going to have the lack of straight line speed. He's going to push him all the way to the inside. As Gabans gives it everything to hold position, but it's just not going to work against Lunacy. And Lunacy puts himself up into P6, as you see coming for you pulling to pits. You see Gabans pulling into the pits, and that puts Lunacy all the way up into P5 in this race. And Diswood holding that gap nice and steady, 2.8 to Spud, and then it's a 7.6 second gap back to Durant. These gaps are massive at the moment. These gaps are pretty big at the moment, so there's not much battling going on track. As I say that, we flick to the battle between Speedy Tyres Highlander and Nightwalker. We cannot catch a break of racing in at the moment, as the gap between all of them is quite low, and Gabans, after pitting, comes out just ahead of them, and he'll be able to pull that gap quite easy, as he's on fresh medium tyres. Coming for you though, he's opted for fresh hard tyres, so that might make it difficult when defending against Gabans, as he will look to push towards him again. but Highlander all over the back of Nightwalker here. He's going to look to get past. He's on fresh soft tyres. Nightwalker on fresh hard tyres. He's going to use his overtake. Can Highlander make anything happen here? He's going to have a cheeky look, not quite, but behind him, speedy tyres almost rear-ending Highlander with how much Highlander was breaking through there to avoid hitting the back of Nightwalker. And look how close these boys are now. They are absolute nose to tail as they go through the chicane. Not the chicane Highlander wanted, which has allowed speedy tyres to get all over the back of him, but using a bit of overtake has allowed him to hold onto position. About halfway done through overtake is Highlander as he comes out through the final corner now. He's got a beautiful run out of the last corner. He's going to absolutely have Nightwalker here. Easy move for Highlander as he comes through turn 1, or what is believed to be turn 9, but it's quite easily flat out there, and then braking for turn 2. And Highlander puts himself up into P8 in this race, and now Nightwalker instantly under attack from speedy tyres. Will he try the inside line here? Surely not. He's not quite going to try it through there. Bit too aggressive trying the inside line. He's not going to make it up at all, but he gets a switch back, and speedy tyres puts himself up the inside of Nightwalker and into P9, and it just gets worse for the It's Racing drivers. They drop down to P10 for Nightwalker as there's been an incident there, and Highlander has gone off. He's hit his front end, and that hasn't meant speedy tyres has gone off. He's lost it, and then Highlander's rejoining his wide now, and those drivers are going to have to piss. We see the likes of Diswood and Spud come into the pits, which means Ram 50 is going to take the lead in this race. But of course, fresh soft tyres against warm mediums. Which tyre do you reckon is going to win that out? And I can tell you now, it is going to be the fresh soft tyre, as this wood is going to make a charge towards Ram 50 and should close that gap to the CP Motorsports driver quite quickly. And it's actually his teammate almost forgot that for a second, but it's a 1-2 for CP Motorsports at the moment. Great driving from these two drivers, and I'm sure the team captain will be absolutely thrilled with how they are going. But Diswood already gained an absolute ton of time on his teammate, and I think Duran will make it quite easy here on him, as you can see just how much more pace Diswood has on him. Even if Jerem doesn't let him pass, Diswood will get past absolutely no problem. It shouldn't be too difficult of a move. As you can see that Jerem runs wide, he lets off and lets his teammate through, and his teammate will push on. Team orders coming into play there as Diswood retakes the lead of this race. And then we got to look at N-Spot, who also pit onto fresh softs. He's come out a lot further back than what Diswood had. He might have gotten damage, or maybe he dropped off a lot more from Diswood than the last time we checked. But he's going to push towards Lunacy now, and he should have the tyres to do so. But here is Gabans. We said he would close up to the back of Coming For You on his medium tyres, and that's exactly what he's done. Out of the last corner, he's going to look for the exit. He's going to get the exit, a great exit for the Gabans, and he might be able to try something here. He uses a bit of overtake, but doesn't want to overuse it. And then you see he used a little bit more, gap down to 2/10 now. Slipstream's just not being enough for Gabans. As you can see, Coming For You hasn't used that much overtake either, so he's got a lot to defend himself with here. But it's not quite going to be it for Coming For You. Gap from Coming For You to the Gabans is the closest battle we have on track. Gap is 4/10 between these two drivers. Just 12 laps remaining in the Croatian GP. 5/10 is the gap now, as Coming For You increases it a tiny bit through there and come flying through the chicane to the two drivers, and the gap isn't closing in too much. But of course, the fresh medium tyres are going to constantly be getting less fresh, or more worn would be the better term. but you can see there as they come into absolute effect through the last quarter. Gaban's giving it his all. 1/10. It's under a tenth. He's on the inside now. He's for turn 1. He's going to fly on through. Gaban's is going to turn to the outside for the Ice Racing driver. He's not quite going to get it done. He's going to get the switchback on the outside again of the next corner, but again, not going to happen. He's going to have to sit behind for another lap, but you can see he's using those medium tires to absolute effect and going right on at coming for you. Still not giving up his Gaban's gap, still 4/10 of a second between these two drivers, and again it is engine damage for Lurox, and his race is just over at this point. Gap is over 1 minute 40 to the leaders. He's got engine damage, he loses it again. Safety car pulls out, and that is another safety car in this race. Third safety car for the Grand Prix. Wow. Lurox is in 2. As Lurox comes in to fix that damage. Diswood actually opting to stay out, so interesting choice. Maybe he was just past the line when the safety car was called. He will probably come in to chuck on a different set of tyres and get the required amount to the end. Duram has pit, whether he'll get his teammate or not under this safety car conditions. 30 seconds is the gap, and I think that's just a bit too big of a gap to close in. So I think Diswood will still lead under the safety car restart, but surely with 10 laps remaining there is no team orders between CP Motorsport in who is fighting for the lead. And Diswood has been forced onto the hard tyres because he hasn't done enough laps, I believe, on the hard tyres. So he's being forced to go back onto the hard tyre, where Duram, he has done enough laps on the hard tyres. No, he hasn't. Duram is going to pit again, and I think he's going to pit onto the hard tyres, which allows John to go through, who's on fresh sauce, who has done enough laps on the hard tyres, and if he's quick enough here, it's racing driver John 27 TCT could be fighting for the win in this race out of absolutely nowhere, because Diswood has been forced onto the hard tyres, and of course the pace from the hard to the softs is just way too big for Diswood to be able to hold off a driver such as John. It's going to be very difficult for Diswood, but of course we've seen him do it before, and we know he could do it multiple times. He's set a 17 for his fastest lap in the race, so we know he has some incredible pace without a doubt. But John, he's been up and about in this race. He's put himself up into a high spot every now and then, but it's usually ended in a bit of an issue. But of course he's got to be hoping that it doesn't end in an issue this time, but it actually ends in him in the lead. Lunacy has put himself back into this fight also on a set of softs, so these two drivers are going to be doing a lot at the end of this race. Everybody on softs, and Diswood is going to be under attack from absolutely everybody. Mediums from bands from coming from you to speedy tyres, and then softs for Highlander, but they're worn softs, so he's going to struggle on those. Mediums for Nightwalker, but he's just so far back. I think the safety car will be in before he can do anything about that gap. But Diswood is going to struggle here. I'm not sure if he'll finish on the podium at this rate. He's got the hard tyres. Maybe he'll do enough laps on the safety car where he can pit again and chuck on a fresh set of softs or something. But Diswood is going to be absolutely struggling late in this race. He's got the hard tyres. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4 different drivers behind him on fresh soft tyres. Everyone behind him is on a fresher, softer compound of tyre. Not a single other person has opted for that hard tyre, so Gabez is going to be under a lot of trouble here. Oh, I keep saying Gabez. Diswood, sorry. He's going to be under a lot of trouble here from the rest of the field. safety car will probably be in soon. Everyone has caught up to from Highlander onwards. We're still waiting on Nightwalker to catch up. Lurox is caught up. Whether he'll be allowed to lap the field or not, I'm unsure, but at the moment he's just sitting P11. He's sitting amongst the pack, which will hurt the two drivers behind him, the likes of Speedy Tyres and Highlander, who are now will have a lap car to get past as well as all the other people who they're actually racing within this race. But 29 of 38, and it's going to be absolute crunch time for Diswood, because he's going to need to get everything. 8 laps remaining in this race. Will safety car be in this lap, or they're going to wait another lap, which will make it better for Diswood, but will really annoy a lot of these soft tyre runners who want to get underway instantly. They want to get underway as soon as possible so they can make that gap on Diswood. As you can see, John backing up the field a little bit there, making a little bit of a mistake running wide, but catches back up to Diswood. We see the safety car pull off now. We'll possibly see the safety car pull into the pits. I don't see Diswood backing up, so there's been no message of the safety car coming in, so we'll stay out for one more lap, which will allow Nightwalker to catch back up, so he'll be happy with that. Lurox has been told that he can overtake the safety car, and he has overtaken the safety car, so I'll allow him to at least claw that gap back down a little bit, so he doesn't have to worry about losing this race by too much. A lot can still happen. Another safety car is probably out of question unless there's engine damage or a big incident as soon as this safety car comes in. But Spud is came in. He's got an engine damage under safety car. So that would explain why they've kept the safety car out another lap, because Spud has in fact got an engine damage under the safety car, so he's going to have a little bit to do here in order to catch back up to the safety car again, and he'll still be in P10. He's going to have a lot to do. And push back up to the front and get ready for the safety car restart. It's going to be interesting to see how John goes in the rest of this race, and of course the rest of them behind really is just Diswood we're worried about. Is he going to be able to hold off these drivers? He's not allowed to even use overtake. It's really going to be a battle of who has the most overtake here. Lunacy has a lot. John doesn't have that much overtake. He's going to be struggling. Coming for You has a lot, but of course he's on the medium, so it's really going to be between these 3 soft tyre runners. And are they all going to be able to get past Diswood, and how aggressive is Diswood going to defend? Because he's going to need to put in a little bit of a defensive drive in order to stay ahead of these guys. He can't just fight them normally, because he's hard tides. He's not going to be able to keep up with them once they get past. He's going to need to do a little bit of defending, but of course Diswood is, if anyone is capable of defending on hard tyres to soft tyres, it is our pole sitter Diswood. He does have the fastest lap currently, 17.4. Of course that's better than his pole lap. So he's shown he has pace, and he's shown again he has pace, and he's going to try and show one more time that he has pace to finish off this Grand Prix from lap 31 of 38. We'll get back underway on 32 on lap 32. Diswood leading the pack. Oh, we're actually not going to get underway yet. Apologies there. We're staying under safety car for another lap. This is really interesting to see. It must have been a big incident. Well, I think with the likes of N-Spud's incident too, it's added on. It's a bit more debris, a bit more stuff to clear up, but we're going to stay up for another lap, which means we're not going to get back underway till lap 33, which is good for the likes of, if you're Lurox, you've been able to pass, and now you might just about be able to catch up to that safety car. As you see the safety car doing around about 2-minute laps. Safety car's just been announced in as well. The pack will back itself up. I don't know if Lurox will quite catch it, unfortunately, but it will at least give himself a chance to take advantage of those who have a poor restart and have to pit again. So Lurox can still do a lot better than finishing P11 in this race. And it goes to show what happens when you stick a race through. Never mind, safety car staying out one more lap. He said scrap that, we're staying out one more, which will mean Lurox can definitely now catch the safety car queue. He will definitely catch up in time, which will mean everybody is close enough and will be fighting for this final lap. We get underway at lap 34, which means 4 laps of racing. Diswood is absolutely loving this and hearing one more lap, one more lap, one more lap, because he's on the hard tyres. If they had gotten underway a few laps ago, he would have been absolutely struggling. But of course, it doesn't mean it's going to be easy for him to hold off those drivers behind him on his hard tyres. It's still going to be a difficult task for him, but these extra laps on the safety car will help him out a good amount, and this is going to be a very, very intense final few laps of racing. We've got one more lap on the safety car. See, everybody now has caught the safety car pack. Everyone from first down to 11th is never mind, because Coming for You's actually got an engine damage again under safety car, so that's probably why they've had to go one more lap. Coming for You's got an engine damage under safety car, and he's gonna now be P11, and he's come out on the mediums. He's got to finish the race in the mediums, I believe, as he hasn't done enough laps on them yet. But Coming for You pits in, fixes that damage, and he's got a lot of overtake to use and push through the field. Left to push through the field, of course. John's got the least amount of overtake, I believe, through the field. Less than Highlander, who has the second least amount. But I do have confirmation. Safety car is in this lap. Is definitely in this lap. I don't think there's going to be any change in that unless there is another person bidding it. But of course, 5 laps left is the says in the regulations that if there is 5 laps or less left in the race, the safety car cannot be called. So that means there will be no more safety car in this race, engine damage or not, as Diswood's going to get ready to back up the pack once this safety car comes out of the chicane. As you can see, Coming for You there has ended up catching, he will end up catching the safety car pack, and we'll get ready to get back on the way, and he will have some nice warm tyres at least when he catches the pack. As you can see, here goes Diswood ready to back up the pack. He's going to need a good exit here as we get ready to go under racing for 5 laps of pure entertainment. Because this is going to be a very hectic 5 last laps of this race, as out of the final corner comes Diswood, and he's floored it, and Diswood is away forward, and it's green flag racing again for the last 5 laps of this race. John not gotten as good as a restart as he would have wanted against Diswood, but he's bringing that gap down to 6 tenths. He's using all that overtake to hold up, and Lunacy already on the outside of Duran 50, but he can't hold around the outside, so he's going to have to sit behind. The band's sitting behind. A lot of drivers will be able to do anything, and Spud already making up positions. He's put himself up to P8 now in this race. He's going to push towards Highlander next, but of course we can't take our eye off the front, as John has is on those soft tyres, and he's going to have so much more pace than what Diswood has, and he's showing that there is his closed up to the CP Motorsports driver. He's got it under 6/10, or he did have it under 6/10. He had it within slipstream range, but not anymore, as Diswood's taken that beautifully to pull the gap back up, and John not doing as good on those soft tyres as you would have thought he would be, and Duran's going to be absolutely screaming at John, get a move on, because he wants to be fighting for this win. There's going to be no team orders at CP. There's 5 laps left. There's no way they're going to be telling the drivers, you cannot fight for this win. And if they do, I don't think the drivers will listen. And you can see the gap is 9 tenths, and Diswood holding it fine. You would have thought he would have already been overtaken by now, but Diswood could still be looking okay in this race. Caban's the first driver on the medium tyres, and you got speed tyres behind him also on mediums, and then you got the soft tyre of Spud, and here comes Spud. He's making pace in this race. He had to pit again after getting engine damage on the safety car. He'll move to the inside through turn 1, will turn to the outside of turn 2. He'll try to hold around the outside, it won't work, so you get the switchback, turn around the outside for the next corner, and a beautiful move from Spud to put himself around the outside of Speedy Ties and Satellite Racing car and up into P60. He'll now push towards the Ice Racing driver of Bands in P5, but look back up to the front. That gap is not really closing down as much as you would think it would be between John and Diswood, but it's not just John that has this poor pace. It's just the same seems to be Diswood has some incredible pace. John only doing a 19.5 because he doesn't have as much overtake as he would like, and Duran 50 behind him. He's going to try and use his overtake, all that overtake, to get past him and then push towards his teammate, because he knows he can still win this race. Anyone could win this race at this point. Absolutely anything can happen in these final few laps. Diswood still leading, just under a second now is the gap between John and Diswood. He'll come out and John will use his overtake. He won't use too much because he's still got to save it, whereas Jaram's going to use a lot of his because he still has a lot to use, but Lunacy has more and he's going to use more, and here goes Lunacy to the inside now of Duran 50, and he gets the move done nice and easy, and Lunacy wants to win this race. You can see it. He's got the overtake to do it, he's got the pace to do it, and he's got the tyres to do it, and Lunacy is absolutely flying in the back end of this race. 8 tenths gap between him and John now, and he's going to be closing that up at a rate of knots, doing an 18.7 compared to John, who actually an 18.5 is showing a bit more pace now, but Diswood doing an 18.4 on a set of hard tyres. Diswood has found absolute pace in this race, and he's doing a lot. Is the CP Motorsports driver to be able to hold them off. He's doing everything at the moment on hard tyres, and there's actually damage there for Duran 50, so he's going to be slow. Something's happened between him and Lunacy, because Lunacy's fell back behind him, but Spud has never mind, I thought Spud had gone past Caban's, but Spud's actually dropped down to P8 as he's had to pit again, and Spud's got engine damage in the late part of this race, and that is race over for Spud. There is no safety car to be called now. It is way too late in the race for a safety car, so it's race over for Spud. Race ended just like that. Coming for you though, next driver ahead, he's still 8th, is Spud, so he can still do something in this race, and John, he's found some pace now. He's pushing towards this wood gap down to just 6 tenths of a second. He did an 18.3 on the last lap. As we say, he's closed it up. We give a little bit of competition because he loses 4 tenths through just a couple corners. Lunacy 3.8 seconds back from the lead, 2.9 from John, so it's looking like John's the only one who's going to be able to fight it, as we see Speedy Tyres and coming for you, going side by side, and great battling from the two drivers, great respect from both of them, and they're on the penultimate lap of this race, giving it, both of them giving it their all. You can see coming for you has a lot of overtake to use it. He's got to start to use it all. He doesn't want to waste a single piece of that overtake, so he's got to give it everything in the last few laps of this race as he pushes towards Skabeds. He's using all his overtake. He's got to go to the inside of Duran 50, under brakes. He hits A pace beautifully, and there he's coming for you up into P4. He's now going to push towards Lunacy and put himself on the back end of that podium, but of course Lunacy's got a lot of overtake to use as well, and it looks like John's out of that overtake. He doesn't have any more to use. John is done using that overtake, which allows Diswood has held a 2.3 second gap, and he has done everything in this race. He has had way more pace than the rest of the field, and he has shown it. He's in a whole different league. John P2, Lunacy P3, and coming for you. He's going to give it his all in this last lap to get P4, but this is the closest battle here. Speed Tyres versus Ram on this final lap of the race. They're going to give it their absolute all. As there you can see the overtake being activated. He was getting around a lap car of Highlander, but Speed Tyres still pushing on the back of Duran 50. He's using all his overtake. Duran, they have about the same amount of overtake. Speed Tyres actually has a little bit less, so they're all using the rest of it. They want to dump all their overtake now, so it's the last lap. They've got to use it all. As you can see, Speed Tyres using all the track limits there. As you can see, both of them wasting their overtake, and you can see there's actually damage from both the drivers. So this is going to be gonna allow maybe the likes of Gaban's not quite. Unfortunately, he's too far back to try anything. But it's gonna mean these drivers can both fight each other equally because there's suspension damage for Duran. So if anything, he's at a bit more of a disadvantage. But the man of the moment, Diswood, won. He's gonna cross the line and he's going to win the Croatian GP, and a great drive, a stunning drive from Diswood, dominating from start to finish. John's gonna come home P2 with Lunacy, just barely P3. Coming for you, P4 with a run up to the line. Speedy tires P5, Duran P6. Gaban's got to take P7. Spud, so far, unfortunately, due to his engine damage, he might only get P8 here, but he's fighting for the fastest lap. So we'll run on board here with Spud for this final lap of this race, as he might be able to put in the fastest lap of the race here to finish off. You know, he's got the pace. He's going to try and take that away from Diswood. If he can't take the win away from Diswood, he'll take away the fastest lap. So he crosses the line. His Spud is going to finish P8, and he is going to take back that fastest lap with a 17th lap. Great lap there from Spud, using absolutely everything. And then you're going to have Nightwalker who crosses the line for P9, and then Lurox will cross for P10. But what a great drive from Diswood to win the race. Stunning from start to finish, got pole position by nearly half a second, and did absolutely everything he could in that race. Led from lap 12 onwards and never stopped showing his pace. Managed to not only hold on to the lead on his hards, but actually pull a gap on those behind. So Diswood showing why he's such a great driver and picking up the win at Dragon Trail. So great drive there from Diswood as race finishes, and what a race that was. But what a great race. Believe that is it though for us here at Track Stars, and I believe that will be this race done. But what a race that was. Glad to step in the commentary box for a round. Good watch, and you can see just the competitiveness of the field with all the A pluses and A's. But yeah, what a race. Great driving from everyone, and I'll catch you guys next time for the next round, which is at, I don't know if I'll probably won't be coming, but next round is Nurburgring, and it's the first wet round of the season. So that's going to be an interesting one. 39 laps of Nurburgring in the wet. They must do 10 laps on each tyre, but with that, thank you guys, and I'll see you guys next week for